Well, good morning and welcome. My name's Simon Moore. I'm the chair of the Electoral Commission, and with me is Carla Kane, my CEO and the Chief Electoral Officer. So look, thank you so much for coming, and I hope that the things we're going to be sharing with you this morning will be of interest to you. I suppose the first question is, well, why have we invited you to come at this time? And the reason for that is that we're really getting towards the pointy end of the whole electoral cycle, and we want to talk a little bit about how we are tracking towards the 7th of November. So to get things into perspective, we're 89 days out from election day, 76 days to the start of voting. The regulated period started last Friday, and we've been doing a huge amount of work over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Carl and I have been travelling around the country just checking on the electorates, visiting each of the area electorates, and talking to the electoral managers and finding out what the challenges for them are and how they are going. For me, and this is my first election, it's been really an eye-opener. And it's actually fascinating. Every electorate is unique. Every electorate presents quite separate challenges. You know, you take an electorate like, say, the west coast of the South Island. It's a rural area. It takes 5 hours to travel from the top to the bottom, and you only have to think about the logistics of how you get ballot boxes and things like that around, and of course difficulties in recruiting people to work in the electoral offices and also in the voting places. So there are those sorts of significance. There are differences in engagement, so you can get one electorate which has got huge amount of engagement and another part which is more deprived, where historically there has been lower engagement. And each of the electorate managers seems to have a unique understanding of their particular electorate and strategies around how they're going to improve enrolment and voting. There are modern places, modern suburbs, and more established areas. And some of the challenges around modern subdivisions is that they don't have community areas in the same way that an established area does. And so you've got to have, where you're going to put voting places. So these are all the sorts of differences and the challenges that lie ahead. So significantly today is the day that we launched the enrolment campaign. And it's particularly important this year because of the significant changes that have been made to the Electoral Act. And with those new rules, the importance of getting the message out that enrolment closes 13 days before voting day, and that's the 25th of October. And we have to get that message out. But there are some quite positive signs. So if we could have, there we are, these are some key dates. So 10th of August, today, enrolment update advertising starts. Over the next few weeks, 3.6 million enrolment update packs go out. Then next month, the enrolment hubs are being set up in the main centres. Then we have the 4th of October writ day. So the significance of the 4th of October and writ day is that if you enrol by that day, you get on the printed roll. And if you're on the printed roll, that means you get an easy vote card. Carl will talk more about that. 21 October, overseas voting starts. 25 October, as I mentioned, the last day to enrol to vote in the election. 26 October, advance voting starts. 7 November is election day, obviously, and 27 November, 20 days on, and that's when we expect, at the latest, to be delivering the official result. So there are some significant stats here. So right now we've got 3.6 million people enrolled. So that's around about 89% of eligible voters. Not bad, but we don't think it's good enough. We're tracking, as you can see there, slightly ahead of where we were in 2017, 2020, and the last election in 2023. So that's positive. We will be constantly tracking our enrolment rates right through to the election. There's a huge amount of work to be done in terms of our comms, and Carl will talk about some of the innovative ideas we've got around enrolment and how we're going to engage. But I think the statistic that we really need to be concentrating on is that there are still 440,000 unenrolled, of which 200,000 are aged between 18 and 25. So that's the cohort that we really need to be getting the attention of. And again, Carl will talk about that. There are some other interesting statistics. We're 3 weeks into our recruitment. We need to fill 27,000 roles. And that makes us the single largest employer in the country at that time by some very considerable margin. And again, if you think about this, the logistics that sit around there, in order for us to be able to engage that number of people, we need to have applications of the order of 50 to 60,000. We're over halfway there already, so we're pretty pleased with that. But with that number of engagements, we've got to do reference checks, police checks, there have to be interviews, there have to be contracts, and there has to be training. So that's huge. We have 2,300 voting places. Now, every one of those voting places has had to be checked in terms of whether it's a safe place, whether it fits within the commuting lines, and all of this kind of work that sits in behind that, making sure that there isn't a conflict. So we have some 850 advance voting places. All our bulk supplies have arrived, so those are the cardboard desks and the voting kiosks. So they've been delivered, but they need to be going out to all of the voting places. Again, huge logistical exercise. Having said that, despite those challenges, I'm really happy with the direction that we're tracking at the moment, and very conscious of what challenges we need to meet. And on that point, I'm going to hand over to Carl. Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to echo Simon's welcome to you all. It's great to have you here. You play a really important role helping us get the word out around what's happening for the election. So, obviously, really big focus on getting as many people enrolled as possible. And from today, you're going to see some advertising around Orange Guy. And we've made a few changes for the advertising this year just to signal that things have changed. So Orange Guy and PUP are coming into the real world. You know, that kind of reflects enrolment as a real world issue. It's something that needs to happen out in communities every single day. When people see Orange Guy and PUP, they know the election's coming, they know they need to check their enrolment, check out about voting and so on. The other really important message, and I keep repeating this every time I possibly can, be enrolled by 25 October if you want to vote. Our second message is Do it by 4 October if you can, because that means you make it on the printed roll and it'll go a bit easier in the voting place for you. There'll be other more tailored and targeted messages. We'll be doing this radio, television, social media, streaming platforms, digital billboards, every way we can. And of course, we'll also be out in communities working. The important thing is everyone can play a role in enrolment, whether you're a parent, a grandparent, an uncle, an auntie, a sports coach. Particularly for younger people, you can all check in with those young people. Are you enrolled? This is what you need to do. It's quite easy. We provide a lot of resources and materials to a whole wide range of groups, including candidates and political parties, so they get the message out as well. We have a big on-the-ground presence. This year alone, we've had about 460 events we've been to, giving that face-to-face information and education, including 160 schools. You may know about the provisional enrolment scheme. That's where 17-year-olds can pre-enrol. And then when they turn 18, their enrolment's activated. It's a really good scheme. At the beginning of the year, we had about 1,800 17-year-olds. We've got almost 6,000 now on that. So we're really starting to see the momentum build. In addition to those events and communities that we go to, where we give that information and education, we've been doing some mobile enrolment hubs. So we've been going out mainly into rural and regional areas, focusing where there's low enrolment rates, providing that opportunity for people to find out about it, fill out an enrolment form, give it to us so we can process their enrolment. Also, what we'll be doing different this year is 10 fixed enrolment hubs across the main centres in New Zealand. So that'll be through September and October. We're going to try and locate them where we're also going to be having voting places in those high traffic areas, so we can grab those people as they're going about doing their shopping and so on. Now, next week we get the enrolment packs out. 3.6 million packs being posted out. When you get it, open it, check your address. Also check what electorate you're in, because the electorates have changed some of the boundaries and some of the names, so it's important to understand that. There's a brochure in the pack that'll tell you when you need to be enrolled by, and also how you'll get your Easy Vote card this year. If you don't get one of these packs, it means you're not enrolled, or you haven't updated your address, and so it's gone to the wrong address. A new thing this year, after sending these packs out, if we have your email or mobile number, we're going to send you some reminders. So this is a first step around our digital communications, so that'll be something quite new. About 2 million odd emails will be going out. That's quite a big exercise for us to do. The other thing that I also want to mention is what happens when you're not at your address. So if you're no longer at your address and the people that live there send the letter back to us, there's a couple of steps that we have to take that are all set out in the Electoral Act. First thing we do is to see if we can contact you another way. So if you've got a second contact address, we'll use that. If you've given your email, we'll try that. If you've given a mobile number, we'll try that. If after about a month we haven't heard back from you, we are required to put people on what's called the dormant roll. Now, the dormant roll is a safety net. If you're on the dormant roll, you can still vote. It just means you need to update your address. So that's really important. We'll be trying to get the message out to everyone who might be in that situation. At the moment, we've got about 115,000 people on the dormant roll. That's 25% lower than the same time in the 2023 electoral cycle. So that's an improvement. But again, as Simon says, not good enough. We need to get that down. Now, a couple of more things to say before we open up for questions. So as you've heard, we're in that regulated period now, 3 months out from the election. There's a heck of a lot that we're doing. Last Thursday was the deadline for registered parties. We've got 17 registered parties now. Enormous amount of work underway to do that. Simon's mentioned voting places. He's mentioned recruitment and some of the logistics. There's a huge amount to still do, but it is tracking well. So I'll stop there and see what questions you've got.